My stepsister turned 10 yesterday. Her dad had arranged for her grandma, his mom, to take her for a girl day. Her dad is married to my mom. Her dad told me 3 weeks ago that I needed to take her birthday off because she wanted me to go, and I, nearly adult, was going. I told him I would not take the day off and that I was not going. He told me not to argue with him and do it. I told him I would not, and he couldn't force me to. My mom asked me if I would take one day off and go for a girly day with my stepsister. She said she felt lonely and wanted me there because she idolized me. I told Mom I didn't want to spend a whole day with her and her grandma, and I had better things to do. Mom didn't like it, but she let the topic drop. Nobody else mentioned it again after my mom, and then yesterday came, and I went to work as usual, and my mom's husband started calling and texting me, demanding that I leave work and go with his daughter and mom. I ignored him and turned my phone off. He showed up where I work, and my boss kicked him out because he was causing such a big disruption. I got home later than usual because I went to my grandma's house after work, but when I did get home, he was waiting for me. He said that his daughter had gotten home early from her girly day because she was upset I didn't show up and she had been expecting me. I told him that I had never agreed to go and he shouldn't have made any promises that I would. He told me he ordered me to call off work and I should have done it. Then he complained that I had ruined his daughter's birthday and crushed her soul, and I should be really ashamed of myself. My mom, her husband, and I had an early birthday dinner last week to celebrate my stepsister. Things are still very tense, and my stepsister's upset about yesterday. I heard her crying to her dad earlier about it. It doesn't surprise me my mom is on his side. Her boyfriends always came first. Am I the idiot for ruining my stepsister's birthday? He told me he ordered me to take the day off work. Who the heck does he think he is? God? He's not your boss, not anyone of authority to you. He can't order you to do anything. This makes me angry. I saw a meme on Facebook the other day with a book titled, Why Some People Deserve to Be in Cages. It seems fitting here. You are not the idiot. Your stepfather ruined his daughter's birthday, not you, because if he had given you a warning, you could have planned for it. Every job I've ever had wanted at least 2 weeks of notice for request off, and the more notice you gave, the more likely you were to get the day you wanted off because it was a first come, first served basis. But that's your choice. You already did the dinner for her birthday. You didn't want to do a girl's day. You get to have a preference. Is he going to give you money from lost wages? Doubt it. He endangered her job by throwing a tantrum at her work because she refused to take an unpaid day off, which also could have endangered her job to cater to his little princess. What an idiot. Work is important. No one can demand you take time off work to do something else. I can't believe they showed up at your work. As soon as you're able to, move out of this toxic bullying environment. Her boyfriends always came first? Oh God, I had one of those. I'm so sorry. You deserve better. Keep standing up for yourself. They told her a lie. Talk to her privately and let her know you already told the parents you wouldn't be attending. But if she wants, you and her can do something, just the two of you. Definitely save up and move, because his response is a no. I would bet $1,000 that the OP's stepsister didn't idolize the OP and wasn't crushed that she didn't come on the girlies' day, and that mom and stepdad are doing what the parents of so many blended families do, trying to convince themselves that the kids are far closer to each other than they are. It could also be that the stepsis was crying because her dad was screaming and throwing a fit, and he ruined her birthday. This is not the kind of guy who only ruins OP's life and is nice to everyone else. Stepsister is probably scared of him. My husband and I have been married for 7 years, and we have 3 children together. Our oldest is our son, Jamie. Then we have our daughter, Casey, and then our youngest is our son, Riley. My husband is a fantastic parent, and one of the things I've always appreciated is the fact we're on the same page when it comes to parenting. We discussed it before marriage and kids, but it's remained true for us. One element of parenting that my husband and I agree on is the gender of our child should not change our dynamic with them. My husband doesn't treat Casey differently from our brothers because she's a girl and his little princess or whatever. He cuddles and kisses all three. He comforts all three if they're crying. He's equally protective of all three. He's not harder on our boys. He's not rougher with them. He's not thinking ahead of any of the kids meeting a partner in the future and thinking about how he needs to intimidate these future people who come around. Not for our boys and not for our girls either. There's no difference at all. It's the same for me with my kids, but his family finds it strange. He stood up for himself and limited contact with them over it. But it was his sister who came and asked me how I could let it happen, and how did I not find it weird and creepy that he was treating the boys like girls. She said it's so strange, and that I never blink at it, which is even more weird to her. She said she could not imagine our boys growing up and my husband giving them hugs and kisses like he would our daughter. She said it's so uncomfortable and creepy. I pointed out that I'm the same with all three, and she said that that's different. She called it weird and creepy again, and said my husband's parenting is just weird and creepy. I told her I wanted him to be loving and kind to all of our kids. She brushed me off, and that's when I said that she might find my husband's parenting weird and creepy, but I find hers weird and sad. It is weird that the gender of the child dictates how a male parent should treat them, and sad for the children who will grow up with that treatment. I told her that I'd never be able to see parenting the way she does. She didn't take what I said well, which, of course, and my husband decided after this to go no contact with his family because they all said I was awful for insulting them, which is how they took what I said. But I just wonder if I should have kept it in and gone no contact with a retort back to sister-in-law, and that if I am the idiot. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why so many men grow up feeling like affection and communication are wrong, and they're feminine if they dare show a glimmer of perceived weakness. Imagine growing up watching your sister getting showered in love and affection, and you on the receiving end of tough love. It causes a child to grow up questioning their existence. Why don't they receive love where others in the same nest don't? They aren't able to understand the complex and backward reasoning of adults as to why this happens. The child simply turns inward, made to believe that this is the norm, and so the cycle continues. Completely agree. How can a parent look at their toddler boy and think, he doesn't need cuddles and hugs and kisses? I swear some people give more affection to their cats and dogs than they do to their sons. I was just explaining toxic masculinity to my kiddos, pre-tween male and tween female, and how it literally hurts everybody. My daughter's already dealing with boys in her class who only know how to express anger or pride, and my son is extremely confused at why all the little girls in his class flock to him. I can't just tell him it's because the other boys are tiny hooligans who think playing with the girls involves shoving them around and making them upset. All that so-called traditional gender role BS is just that, BS. I, 28 male, recently went on a flight. It was an emergency flight I had to book last minute, so my options for seats were limited as the flight was nearly full. Currently, my arm is in a sling due to a shoulder injury. I was also given some pain meds and a muscle relaxant. I'm 196 centimeters in height. Planes get uncomfortable as it is. So I get on this plane, find my seat, take my pills, cross my arms, and close my eyes. Sitting next to me was a couple. I overheard them argue, him wanting to sit in the middle, which was her assigned seat, and her saying no and sitting down. He sits down in his aisle seat, sounds frustrated, and starts grumbling to her. They whisper and argue. I stop listening. I used to be military and usually have no problem sleeping in a sitting position. I don't move either, but for some reason, the medications maybe, but I end up falling asleep and waking up with my head on this woman. I don't know what happened, but not once did she wake me or nudge me to move. I woke up on my own maybe 20 minutes later, realized I was leaning on her, and apologized. She smiled and told me not to worry about it. She wasn't upset and tried to offer me her sleeping pillow thing to share. Hearing us talking, the man opens his eyes and takes out his earphones. He's got anger flashing on his face. He starts arguing with me. He accuses me of flirting. I don't engage much. She talks him down. I fall back asleep. I ended up doing it again. I still don't know how it happened. I actively tried not to tilt my head that way. I wake up leaning on her. I'm thrown off by it. I apologize. She starts insisting it's okay. Then he wakes up. It's Groundhog Day. He's angry again and calls me an idiot. This nosy old lady in front of us turns around and gets involved. Why do you keep doing this? Do you understand English? I apologize to the couple a final time, in a way as if to terminate the conversation altogether. I raise a brow at the old lady and apologize. I admit, somewhat passive-aggressively, to her too. This time I fought to stay awake for the rest of the flight to avoid this. I keep my eyes closed, but I don't sleep. The woman next to me keeps trying to talk to me, asking me about my injury, asking me if I'm Korean, and offering me things. And I wish she wouldn't because it's her partner, whose reactions are then making me angry. The flight was awful. Who's the idiot here? What does speaking English have to do with anything? You're not the idiot. You didn't do it on purpose. That guy's a weirdo, and that woman shouldn't have gotten involved. The girl you fell asleep against didn't have a problem, so I don't see why others do. I feel like the woman he fell asleep on was stirring the pot. She keeps trying to talk to me, ask about my injury, ask me if I'm Korean, and offers me things. Who the heck offers a pillow to share with a stranger, while her boyfriend is already clearly upset at the closeness? Did she offer for both of them to use the pillow at the same time? Why would she make OP even more uncomfortable? I slept and drooled on this old white guy, and we only noticed when I woke up. That little lingering line on my face was backing away from his shoulder. The gent took it like a champ and chuckled and said the sleep that makes you drool is the sweetest kind of sleep. The man was so chill. I hope to be that chill when people pass out on my shoulder. That poor girl should reconsider their relationship. A bit of jealousy is fine, but if it gets to the point she can't talk to a stranger because the boyfriend will get angry, run. Maybe the boyfriend was secretly jealous. OP wasn't lying on his shoulder. What an insecure moron. I'm disappointed she had a boyfriend because this sounds like the ultimate meet cute in any rom-com, minus the racist woman up front. You're on pain meds and in a sling, for God's sake. Any person with a modicum of common sense would realize you're not in control of your body when you're sleeping. Just be grateful it wasn't her boyfriend sitting in the middle. LOL. Due to the number of scams in my country, and some cases in my family, we have a safe word that if something happens and we need money urgently, we say that word so that the other person knows that it is indeed the other person. We really use this. Recently, my husband went on a car trip for work, and at around 3 a.m., I was woken up by a call, and it sounded like my husband's voice from an unknown number. He said his cell phone died while he was walking to a nearby gas station, so he could call me because his car died on the road. At this part, I was really sleepy and didn't even understand half of it, so I interrupted by saying, "What's the safe word?" He, in his way, "What? A safe word, baby? It's me. Just send one of the cards because I don't have physical money with me." This is true. Or he made a bank transaction or a debit card, but I didn't feel safe, especially how far a scam can go, and even more so that he refused to say our safe word. And in my complete sleep, I said, "Sorry, I can't help." Maybe if it had been any time, I would have been more helpful, but I went back to sleep because I was exhausted. Well, in the end, he found a card with a limit in his wallet and used it, and everything worked out. When he arrived, he was very angry, saying it was obvious it was him, and that he wouldn't say the word because in the stress, he was barely able to remember his name, and that I shouldn't have hung up on him and gone back to sleep, that it could have been a mistake, emergency, and I simply ignored it. Thinking about it now, it seems obvious that it was him, especially given how he spoke. But in the midst of sleep and distrust, I didn't feel good. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You have a password, literally just for this situation. A person calls begging for money, and you're not 100% sure it's legit. His inability to keep his composure because his car broke down is his failing, not yours. He's a grown man who needs to act like it. What's the point of having this financial safety plan in place if you won't use it? Your husband is an idiot for not recognizing this and blaming you for his inability to be an adult. Your husband's weaponized incompetence backfired on him. Baby, it's me. Just send one of the cards because I don't have physical money with me is exactly what a scammer would say. If in your half-sleep state you'd given money to a scammer, I doubt he'd be happy you had decided to trust the voice. It's me? What safe word? Just send me money? You'd be getting a lecture on the importance of the safe word. On another point, though, you'd better remember that if you get a call like that in the future, you'd better get out of bed and take the call so you don't react while half asleep. Hang up and then fall back asleep as you did here. You need to be ready to get yourself fully awake for true emergencies. My parents divorced when I, a teen male, was 4. My mom remarried right away, but that marriage didn't last long. It took my father 3 years after the divorce to meet someone and another 2 years to marry my stepmother, whom I'll refer to as Claudia. I wasn't happy when my father married Claudia, as I was stuck in a fantasy world where my biological parents would still be together. But I quickly learned to love Claudia and consider her family. She's a very sweet woman who's treated me well since I met her. Claudia has a passion for baking. She bakes a lot whenever I'm around. I've eaten enough of her stuff to know I love her baking, especially her chocolate cake. Chocolate is my favorite flavor of all cake. However, when my birthday came up, I couldn't get the chocolate cake I wanted, since some people in my mom's family, including my mom, were allergic to chocolate. Every single birthday, I'm stuck eating a mediocre cake and a flavor I don't like. I never complained about it, since it would make my mom upset. It was a bummer to blow out the candles on a cake I didn't want. My birthday's coming up in a week. My mom always plans out the party without consulting me or my dad, and she texted me to tell me she had already pre-ordered a strawberry vanilla cake and asked me to pick it up on my way to the party when the day comes. I became visibly upset as I was forced to blow out the candles and eat a cake I didn't want for another year in a row. Claudia saw me get upset and asked me why. I said everything was fine, but she responded in a slightly demanding voice once again, asking why I was upset. I decided to open up and tell her about my frustration with every year eating a birthday cake I don't like and just wanting my own darn cake for my own birthday. She offered to bake me a small chocolate cake that I could have on my birthday. She proposed that the candles be on that cake and that the cake that my mom ordered would have no candles, but would still be there for those who are allergic to chocolate. To me, it's a win-win situation. I get the cake I want, and everyone else gets something that suits them. I was delighted at the idea, and I decided to text my mom about it. Mom wasn't happy with the idea. She called me, screaming at me for being ungrateful and calling Claudia dirty names. I practically begged my mom to at least grant me this once. I know it's just a cake, but eating what I like on my birthday for once would make me so happy. My mom again said no. I decided to bluff and tell her that I could have 2 separate celebrations, one with my dad and Claudia, and another with her and her family, but that I wouldn't be blowing out the candles on the cake she ordered, and that I'd invite my friends to my celebration, not hers. She became even more upset and hung up. I decided to go ahead with the 2 celebrations idea. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your mom's reaction is not about you, not about your cake preference, and not about your birthday. It's entirely about her feelings towards Claudia. She's letting her issues call the shots here. Honestly, it's weird to me that your favorite kind of cake is not the main to accommodate some food allergies. I would think you would have a chocolate main cake and then an alternative for those with the allergies. I think your stepmom provided a reasonable solution to a problem that upset you, and your mom's being completely unreasonable about it. I'm assuming that no one is so allergic that they can't be in a room with chocolate, but that eating it would be an issue. I guess mom thinks the party is about her. She's not angry at a birthday cake. She's angry because she perceives that she's losing a contest that you were not aware you were in. Maybe you should just have one party, the one where you get the cake you want,